Hey everyone, it's Rhea. Thanks for joining me for this month's Marathon Sewciety event. This month's theme is back to school, and I decided to make the Trapped in the Unit by Sincerely Jen patterns. When I saw both Jenny and Lauren make this, I knew I had to at some point in time, even though we don't have any kids at home anymore, so it's making it just for the fun of it. But the notebook cover is reminiscent of those from back in the day. So you'll have a flap right here. Now this flap is actually a pencil pouch or a writing utensil pouch. Might not be pencils anymore. But as you can see here, you've got a pouch there. You can zip it up. Open this up. We're going to use magnetic snaps to keep this closed. You could certainly use Velcro. And you then open it up like this. Ta-da! And you can see we have the sort of flaps or pockets right here in which you'll put the notebook itself. We have an accordion pocket here, so you can put papers or maybe other folders, things that you need to keep it in there that you're not going to put in the actual spiral part or the rings. And then we've got some pockets here. So for the pattern, you have this zip pocket down here at the bottom. But I decided to add a large slip pocket here. It actually, per the pattern, would have a smaller one and some pen loops here, so you can stick more writing utensils. I thought a nice big slip pocket would be fun to have there. It's actually a pretty fast make because it's raw edged, and it is, they're just big pieces that you're sewing together essentially. This is what takes the most time, is just assembling that. And if you didn't make it quite as complicated as I did, it'll come together like that. I of course had to make it, different. so yeah, let's put this together. Oh, one piece of advice. I had a real struggle putting this notebook in, and that's totally on me. I in fact had to cut it down. I had to trim it. I don't know if you could see, I had to trim a little down here at the bottom or on the top. And that is because I either likely did not cut my pattern pieces to the exact right size, or my top stitching when I assembled it might have been a little too wide. I found that the notebook cover was small by about 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch. There's not a lot of wiggle room here. You do need to be fairly precise in order to accommodate the size of the notebook. And just so you know, the pattern will provide calculations, or at least the formula, so you can put in the dimensions of your notebook and you'll be able to determine what size your materials need to be. But I did this one for a 1-inch notebook. And as I said, it was really small. So if I were to do this again, and I'm sure I will, I would probably be really, really careful and measure more than twice to ensure I got the measurements correctly. I would probably also measure the notebooks that I'm using. I mean, they should all be about the same size, but if you're concerned, because maybe there are some variations, you could make your pattern piece perhaps just 1/8 of an inch taller this way, not longer, but taller here. And that should be more than enough to accommodate what you might need. So that's just a little bit of advice that I had there, a little trouble that I had. But otherwise, it came together really easily. It's a fun make. It would look really cute with edge coating. So let's get started. Let's take a look at our materials for our Trapped in the Unit notebook cover. I'm going to be using this ridiculously cute balloon animal vinyl. This is from the Emporium. It's just, oh my gosh, gosh, do I love this. This is the main piece. Let me open this up. You can see it's long. It's really long. And so this will be the exterior part. So this is what you would see from the back. I'm going to open this up. So this is the interior. Oops. And you might see there's some black here. I have changed it up a little bit. What else is new? Because, let me put together how this will look when you start putting it together. We have our main piece here on the inside. We then would put another piece right here and another piece right here. And then this part here would be left raw. And so, I mean, this is a raw edged pattern, so you do need to be aware of that. This vinyl is felt backed, and I was just thinking, with kids, and I don't know, I just could imagine that getting dirty. I mean, it might get dirty still back here, but you're not going to see that because this will cover it. I mean, yeah. So this is how I wanted that to be covered right there. So all I did was measured how wide this was, what the space would be once we put this on, and added on a little. So it's underneath, and it's just heat transfer vinyl. So that's what we have there. Now at one end, over on this end, we're going to put in a zipper pocket. And so I have, this is what I'm going to use for the lining. And I've got some zipper tape here, so I'm moving it out of the way. I don't have my pull yet. It's coming in the mail tomorrow. It's going to be, it should look something like the dog in a rainbow finish. So I've got this all set. That will go at this end. So you're going to have a little pouch for your your pencils and pens and writing utensils. And so that will be there. This will be just blank here because this is where you would have your notebook. And these will be left open so you can put your notebook in those ends. And so that's how it would sort of be in here. On this side will be where we put some extra pockets. Now we're going to have this here first. There's a piece, I know it's longer. There you can see it's longer, and it's coming out really orange in like yellowy orange. You have to trust me. This is a really pretty, really more like a creamsicle orange. I can see in the video, it's just, yeah, trust me. It's really nice looking. What we will be doing is folding this and sewing or putting in some stitches to create an accordion pocket right here. So it needs to be longer. And then normally per the pattern, you would have a small zipper pocket here, a slip pocket, and then some fold over elastic that you would sew down so that you can put in to make pen loops. So you can put writing utensils there. Changing that. And so I am going to have, and I haven't decided which will be on top, I'm going to have a bigger slip pocket, as you can see, like this. And what I've done is this is jelly vinyl, and then I've put in snaps. So I'll sew the top part down so that you can just lift up like that. And then there's snaps that I put in here, which they're just, I think that's really cute. And I thought the flowers here will pick up some of the flowers that we see in the print. And then for the zipper pocket, which I do like, I want to use jelly vinyl. So again, it's the same print as this one, just in the clear. Now, the pattern has you, let's just pretend for a moment, this is the pattern piece for the pocket. So you would cut the opening for your zipper here. I'm not going to do that with clear vinyl. I'm just afraid that it'll tear over time. I just don't trust that. So I've cut 2 pieces like this. So we'll sew it down, and I have my zipper here. Now, when you cut the box out, we would have space all around to, encase the zipper. Well, we won't have that here. So I've cut super long tabs, and you can see they're very, very long, much longer than they need to be. But I think I'll sew them down at like maybe 1/4 of an inch, fold it back, top stitch it, and then I'll trim it so that it's the perfect size with this. And then I'll sew that down. And so that is it. I mean, it really, there's not a lot to it. It should come together pretty quickly because it's not like we have to turn anything out. So let's get started sewing this. Oh, I thought I would show first, since we're right here, the snaps. What I did for that, because they're already in, obviously. Let me move this out of the way. Oh, I just realized, good thing I remembered, I'm going to need magnetic snaps as well. Back it up. So before I get to this, there will also be magnetic snaps, because on the pouch here, we're going to put 2 snaps here. So when it closes, it'll close like this and like this. We'll also have 2 magnetic snaps there. And so we'll snap. But let's just, since we're right here, just take a look at how I did this. I basically, I'd never used plastic snaps before, so that was fun. But I just sort of decided where I wanted them to go. And then I just put in the snaps. If you've never used snaps, I thought I could just quickly show you how you use them. So I've got some extra right here. Probably not going to use this brown color, so I figured that's a good one to use. You can buy sets on Amazon, and so I have a little bit extra of this vinyl here. The set came with this little press. This is not a press that you would use for setting rivets. It's just for this. And so what you would do is you don't want to punch a hole with your hole puncher either. That'll be too big. But you'll just put a hole. I'm just using my seam ripper in there. Hopefully I can still see it. For where you want it to go. And you have essentially 2 tops, the 2 pieces like this, and then you have 2 different pieces here that will be used for the actual snap portion. Wait, do I have the different ones? Yes, I do. And so first you'll just put your top in one of these. Think about where the top, whether it needs to be if you have a right or wrong side, you know, whatever side it needs to go on. And you just put one of those pieces on. So I'm just putting that one on. You can put it, doesn't matter which. And then on my press, I can see I have a flat surface right here. That's for your cap, or where the cap will go, and this will press the other shaped piece. And so I'm just going to put it in there like this. Sorry, whoops. Sorry, trying to work around the tripod as well. You just put it in. I'm going to hold it there so you can hopefully see, and then I'm just going to press it hard, and boom, there. And so now we'll do the other one. And so let's see, if you have to think about it. If I want this here, I need, as I mentioned, this snap here, sort of the top has to go there, but I need the cap to go on this side for the other, so that when it folds over, it'll snap. So I still just put my hole in, and I can feel it there, so I'm going to hopefully find it. Where'd it go? There we go. Probably should have, there we go, found it. So there it is. I'm going to put this other piece on. Oops, it's upside down. No, that was right. You can sort of tell which way it should go. I mean, this section here will be where this goes into. And so when you put it in, I don't know how well you can see, that point from the cap is coming through. What we're doing with this is smushing that down to sort of seal it in. So it's sealing the two together. So again, I'm going to put this in here. My cap is nicely in the bottom part. I'm just going to press, oh, let's see, and yeah, there we go. I don't know if you can tell, it's smushed the point of the cap down. And then I can just go like this. And it's done. Yeah, so let's start putting this together. I am super excited to start this project because it is just so ridiculously cute. Before we can put anything really together, I want to get a couple of prep pieces out of the way. So I want to sew the tabs onto my zipper, and I didn't have the zipper tab to show you before, but look at, or the zipper pull, I'm sorry. Look at the cute little balloon dog. It's a balloon dog. Oh, it's super cute and will be perfect for this. So I want to sew the tabs on there. These, if you recall, I mentioned in there, I'm sewing these on. I will be trimming this all once I've got the zipper pocket done. But for right now, I just have those there. And I want to put my tag on. I determined this is the best location for the tag, so I'm going to put it on right here. You will be able to see and feel the threads from the back, but I'm not really concerned about it. I will be back stitching, which I normally wouldn't do. I like to tie my threads off in the back, but I want to ensure these are strong, especially since things will be going in and out against this. So I want to ensure they're really nicely tied, probably tied better than it would be if I were to do it. So we're going to put this in first, and I'm going to be using a stitch length of about a 4.5 for most of this. I think it's just going to be easier. There's, including the top stitching, I think it'll be a consistent 4.5 all the way around. So we're going to start here. So I can still pull them through the back, the threads, but I just wanted everything to be backstitched, and I'll tie it off. I really want it secure, and by doing a couple back stitches and now tying it, it's just going to be more secure than if I were tying it on my own. As I said, since things could be going in and out of this pocket. I'm going to melt this a little bit just to try to reduce the size of those. I don't want to knots. I don't want to break the knots. I just wanted to try to reduce the size by melting down the ends of them. What I am also going to do is just put a dab of glue on that to try to help it a little more, just protect it. It's a little goopy, but using my fingers back there to just kind of go over it, I think helps a little. And no one's going to see this back here. I just want to try to protect it. And putting a little glue on there will be good. So we're going to let that dry. It won't take very long. I want to next sew down the ends. So these were very small zipper ends that were per the size of the pattern. So this is per the pattern. You just put them on the end of the zipper that you're going to be using for the main zipper closure. And so I'm going to just do 1/8 of an inch from the edge, the raw edge. Okay. So that's in. I am going to, let's see, do I have a pen here? I want to mark the center as well. Let me grab a pen. So I'm going to mark the center, not by snipping into it. I mean, if you're comfortable doing that, feel free to do it. And definitely if you do that, I would recommend melting the end of where you snip it on the zipper tape. But I'm just folding it in half. And so I've got the outside here. And I'm just taking my pen and going right there in the middle and marking it right there. And then turning it over, same thing, marking it there. So now that is marked. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is this. So this is not per the pattern because the pattern has you take more of a like normal vinyl, not clear vinyl or jelly vinyl, and cut a box for your zipper tape. I am using clear and I didn't want to do that, so I'm sort of creating my own. And so I think I'm going to do 1/4 of an inch from the end. So I just lined up these pieces of vinyl with the end of my zipper tape. I'm going to put it, I'm going to sew it at 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to top stitch on that. I got a little close there when I was sewing the two ends and I cut my zipper tape, so I'm going to melt that down. Should be okay because it'll also be caught in the seam allowance. But so now I'm going to fold this back. You can see it's shifted a little. I don't care that it's over that much. I'm going to be trimming it anyway, so it'll be fine. So now I'm just going to top stitch that. Okay. So it looks a little funky right now. Somehow I don't have any of the things I need right here. Let me grab a pair of scissors, 1 second. Okay, so I'm just going to trim this down to be the length of the zipper, or the width, I'm sorry, of the zipper tape. I'm not too concerned that it's a little crooked. That's fine. Okay. And what I need to go do now, I'm going to, because I don't remember offhand how wide this is. I'm pretty sure I cut this to be the same width as what it should be per the pattern. So I'm just going to go validate that, and then I'm going to cut this. So this will be another one where I can fold it in half. I mean, because I know I need everything to be even based on those two seam allowances there. I'm going to take my pen, which now is a cap on the floor. Got to get that. So I'm taking my pen, fold it in half, same thing I did before. Let me bring the zipper all the way down. It was in the way. And if it's hard to hold there, if you're concerned about it slipping and you're trying to be as precise as possible, you can put a clip on both sides just to keep things from moving around. There, that way it's clipped. And now I'm just sort of holding it in the middle like this, putting my pen, just going right to it. It'll naturally want to go right in that middle. There we go. And now I just have two little marks. And so from that, once I validate the width of this, I'll cut this down, so half and half, and we'll be ready to go. So I'll be right back, and then we can put together the pocket. So let's look at the first part here. I've got the clear vinyl on the zipper tape. So I've got the ends, I trimmed them down, and I have tried to align the two panels for the clear vinyl so they're an equal distance from the zipper coils itself, from the teeth. I then did also measure from here to here, here to here, in the middle, to try to ensure it was all even. I can trim off the sides when I'm done to just make sure everything is even there, but here I would like it to already be even to start. You can see I did sort of already bevel. I don't know how well you can see that. I beveled the edges, so I don't want to have to trim that anymore. So now that that's there, what I'm going to do is put over some, let me grab it. Hold on. This is new since I started this morning, or since I cut everything out originally. I'm going to put an overlay on there. I really wanted to be able to use double-sided tape to adhere the clear to the zipper tape, simply because I wanted it to be as even as possible. But you can see the tape. I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is put an overlay on like this, and that way you won't be able to see it. I'm going to sew down both long edges of this. Normally, if this were some other type of pocket, perhaps I might sew a whole square around it, but I'm going to be stitching around the whole pocket, and so then it will be stitched down the side. So I'm just going to sew 2 lines on the top and the bottom, and so I'm going to place this so it's probably at around that 3/8 of an inch mark. And this is not part of the pattern. This is me just having some fun with this. And so I'll be right back. We'll have these on, and then we'll sew everything down. By doing the 2 stitches as well, you can sort of see on the back, it will adhere it to the zipper tape and to the clear without a problem. And that way everything will be nicely adhered. So right back. We're all set. I did go and I measured here to ensure it was consistent. It looks consistent right across the zipper teeth, and then I measured here. I really wanted it to be as square as possible. So now, as I said, I'm just going to do 2 rows. I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch from each long edge of the trim. Let me make sure I've got my hump jumper at a good level. We'll see, hopefully that is. Changes slightly right there. I could feel that I didn't have my presser foot at the right level, and maybe a smidgen there, but I think overall that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to do the same on the bottom. Okay, so you'll notice it's kind of moved off to the side there. I'm going to hope you don't really see those stitches. I really don't want that. It's going to be very obvious, so didn't go very far in. I'm going to actually pull those. So we'll see. Hopefully we won't notice that. No, hardly at all. So I'm going to do that again. Maybe I'll raise that up a smidgen and just see. This is really smooth, very, very smooth, and we're dealing with clear. You know, it kind of likes to do its own thing. So we'll do it again. Much better. Yeah, much better. So I'm going to clean up all these threads. This is raw, so we don't want all of these loose threads. Sorry, I'm listening to my husband above me going like this. Maybe you can hear it. But I'm going to go clean those all up. I'm going to trim the sides a little bit. There's a little hanging over there, a little here. I just want that all nice and even. And then we're going to put it on the piece that's going to be our accordion pocket. And we'll sew it all down. We'll do the same with the other pocket as well. So I've got a lot of clips, but I've got it placed. I decided I like the idea of having the flap at the top so you can just open it and nothing will be behind it. I thought that would be convenient. The zipper at the bottom. There's a lot of space above those because we're going to do some folding to create the accordion pocket. So that's why those are there. I had to thus align these at a specific point. I trimmed 1/8 of an inch off the bottom of this just so that I could get it here. I didn't want it to be smack up against this. I like having a little bit of a gap, but it is overlapping. So those will both be sewn down really well. So I'm going to now go around this. So I'm going to probably do one big box first. Let me think about this. How do I want to do it? I know what I want to do eventually will also have 2 rows of stitches here at the top to have this be strong so that when you open it and close it, it's not going to pull out. And here I might do 2 rows right here to just ensure that these 2 are sewn down. How much of an overlap? Yeah, I've got a decent amount of an overlap there, but I'm still going to do 2, I think, there maybe as well. So I'll do one big box, then I will come through and do the 2 stitches here and do my extra stitch there. I think that's what I'll do. And I am going to back stitch everything. So I think I'll start actually over here because this will be, you'll see it all. It's not like you're not going to see this, but somehow I feel this, maybe you'll see less. This is where the beginning of the pocket will be. This is going to be the side. So, and hopefully nothing will shift here. I've got so many clips. Gotta make sure you don't sew down your pocket here. So actually, let's take that off. There we go. Okay, that was fortunate. I remember to not sew up the sides of the flap because we need that to be able to move. So I put a couple of extra back stitches here just so that it would be strong. This also, it was a smidgen narrower here. I didn't notice that. It's hard to see with clear. It's so hard to see. So I may just go and do an extra little line of stitches here because I feel it's a little wobbly. But I'm going to clean this up, and then we're going to also go across the bottom there, as I mentioned. I will also, when I do this, ensure that everything looks clean on the back. You're not going to see it, but things are going to be going back and forth. Obviously against this is where you might be sliding things in, and so I want it to be nice and clean back here too. So let's get rid of some of these clips first. Okay, we're going to sew across the bottom there. I think one will be enough actually, so I'm just going to do one right there. You know what? I take it back. I am going to do one more because I can feel the clear from there, so I'm actually going to do one further up. It's not, yeah, we're going to do one more, just hopefully then we won't feel the clear underneath it. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. There's the smidgenest bit, but you'd hardly know that's what it is. So that encased it. Okay. So now we need to put on the flap. So for this, we're going to put this down. We only want to sew over the top. So I'm going to put some clips on again. I'm going to go put some clips on. I mean, it should be straight, but I'll be right back. I just want to ensure everything is straight. And then I'm going to do 2 rows across the top. Still good, still a consistent amount distance from the top edge, which is what I wanted. And so I am going to sew 2 rows. Let's see, I do have that beveled edge, so I'm thinking maybe I will start, for this I might do a little box. We'll start at the top. Here we go. Let's see. So if I lift it up, you can see it opens up high enough so you can still get things in there, but also closes. It's got the 2 rows at the top, so that should be pretty strong. Yeah, I think that looks pretty cute. I'm going to clean the back, and I already have lines drawn because we have to do some folding to make the accordion. I saw that I sewed through what appeared to be, or sewed past one. I'm like, oh no, what did I do wrong? So I did it on both ends, but it's fine. What we're going to do when we make this accordion pocket is we're first going to fold the bottom line up like this, and we're going to stitch across it. Then we're going to take this one and we're going to fold it back to this. And then we'll have a very small amount right here that will stitch across it. All good. Not freaking out anymore. So yeah, I'm going to go just clean up these ends, and then we will sew that. And it's time to start putting the whole thing together. Yay. All set. So as I said, in the pattern, it's going to tell you where to put 2 marks on both ends of this piece. So again, this is the piece that has, let's hold it not upside down, our pockets. If you're doing it per the pattern, you'll have a zipper pocket like this, and then you'll have a small slip pocket, and then you'll have pen loops. I just decided not to do that. So but you'll have the marks on the back. I marked it first. I just figured it'd be easier to do it that way. And so what you're going to do first is fold right sides together to the first line on both the top and the bottom. And we're going to sew that across right at that line at 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And you should notice when you fold it, imagine this is your bottom pocket. Actually, your top one, I don't believe the small slip pocket will come up this high, but it should, when you fold it over, it should come right to the edge of your pocket if you have your pocket placed correctly. Now we're going to take what we've just folded, and we have the second line, and we're going to fold to that. And I'm going to clip that. So we're not going to sew this down. We want to keep that separate. For the moment, I'm going to clip the side just so I can get it aligned there. Do the same here. And then I'm just going to clip along the folded part. And I'll remove those side clips then when I'm done. But I'm going to check to make sure it's lining up there. So again, we've got it folded. You want to fold this part out of the way and just do 1/8 of an inch on that part there. So if you have a zipper foot, you could use that. It'll probably make it a little bit easier, but you just want to be right there on that edge. In fact, I want to move that clip over. Still want that clip there. This is a tighter one, and you're going to see this one much more. So I want it to be pretty precise. So you can see it's got this sort of accordion nature to it. See that pulling out? And yeah, I simply went right up against the edges here, and that made it really easy. So I'm once again going to go clean up my threads, and we will then be sewing it down to the piece that's this side. We're going to put it here. I'm going to see, I mean, there might be a little, I can see there's a little overhang maybe. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe they're exactly the same. It's got some give to it. But if need be, I can trim things up later, so I'm not worried about that. And we will be sewing this down. So yeah, be right back. I've got everything aligned. I must have my main piece here a smidgen wider here than at the bottom. I'm not going to worry about trimming that up. You can hardly tell. Everything looks even, or it could be that this piece is a little off. I can trim that later too. But I've got it so everything is pretty square here. All we're going to do right now is top stitch all the way across this long edge right here. One thing to keep in mind too, I do have directional material here, not that you can see it. Make sure everything is in the right direction here. So you want your zipper pocket if you're doing it per the pattern, or like I did at the bottom. I have that at the top. We're not going to stitch the top and bottom here yet because we will do that when we sew everything together. So right now it's just through the bottom. You do want to go through all of the accordion bit there, so because that's going to help lock that down. We won't do that later, but for now you do. So 1/8 of an inch from the edge. You can see it's also a little longer here. I will be trimming that down, but for now I'm just going to leave it. So there, so that's attached there. This side will always stay open because that's how you get into the pocket. So now let's move on to our zipper pocket. I think that, or not, I'm sorry, main sort of pencil pouch zipper pocket. So we'll do that next. Let's actually finish the magnetic snap. So let me bring over, here is the main big panel, and I've already put 2 magnetic snaps on there. Per the pattern, it's going to tell you where to put some Decovil heavy. So I put that here. I put in the snaps, and then I had some self-adhesive interfacing and woven interfacing, and I decided I just put it on the whole thing. I figure our notebook's going to be coming in and out, and at least this way it covers it a little bit. I'm hoping it doesn't peel off over time. We'll see. Hopefully it'll be fine. But so we need to do that. I did this one already. This is a big piece, and it was easier for me to do that at my cutting table, but we can do this one here. Now I have already cut the slits because I wanted to do that at the cutting table. One thing I thought about, and I wanted to ensure that where I slit was as perfectly even as possible. As perfectly, not perfectly. Because if you think about it, often when we drop our pieces, there we go, we'll mark where it needs to go, so that's where the hole is, and then we'll put our washer on, and we'll take a pen and we'll mark where the slit's go, and we'll just slit it. But what if you have one slit that's a little higher than the other? What I did is I figured out where the dot was, where the hole was for the center of the washer. I did the marks, and then I took a ruler and I laid it across, and I figured out, okay, I want the top of my slits to be right there. So that way they're hopefully even. So I put the female portion on that other one. I've got the male here Hopefully I can still see. There we go. I just need to find these slits. This one, yeah, okay. So we're going to put these in. And you could certainly, if you want to use Velcro, sort of old school notebook covers, you could. I would probably still put it right around where it's indicated in the pattern. So I'm going to put one on. Let's put the other on. Let's see. Just trying to see if I can see the slits. And I think I can. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. I don't have to put any additional interfacing here because we have the Decaville Heavy, so that is more than strong enough. So I'm going to put those on. I'm going to use my screwdriver to help fold them down. I don't usually do this on my flatbed attachment, so it's a little weird. Okay, just so that I can get good leverage, because you can hear it kind of creaking. I'm going to go over and press that flat. I'm then going to put this piece over here on it as well. It's just, as I said, self-adhesive, so I'll just press that down. So I'll be right back, and then we can start the zipper pocket that's at this end, like for a pencil pocket. So that is all set, as you can see here. Now we can do the zipper pocket. So you need your main piece like this, the one where we just put on the other magnetic snaps, our zipper and our lining pieces. I put double-sided tape on everything. I'm going to use that to help base things in place. I think in the pattern, she may have you start with the big piece. For me, I'm going to do it the other way around simply because I'm working with such a small area here that I think it'll be easier to not have that. So the thing to keep in mind is, you know, here's the big piece. The magnetic snaps are on this side over here. So it's, you can see, and I have this big piece of the heat transfer vinyl. So it's on the magnetic snaps are on the side that has a shorter exposed part. You won't have that, but just, you could mark it. And it's on the other side that has where we're going to put this pencil pouch. And so I put tape here, because if you can think about it, it's going to fold in like this and like this. And so we're going to have a pouch right here on this side. So I've marked tape there. And then the same thing with the one where we just put on the magnetic snaps. This is where the pencil pouch will be, because this is actually the part that's going to fold over and snap into what we just did. So I'm going to start with this one. I've marked centers on everything. Oh wait, did I do it on my, I think I did it. Yeah, that's right. We did that at the beginning. Marked my centers on my zipper. Marked my centers here and on my lining. And, you know, again, here's the thing to keep in mind too. We often say when you're putting zippers on a purse or a bag, you often have it zipping to the left, but that's up to you. You can decide. You want to ensure it's zipping up. So when you're looking at it this way, just ensure that your zipper pull is pointed in that direction. Ooh, see, wrong. In that direction, because that way it won't accidentally open. I mean, it still could, but things won't fall out from the bottom. If it accidentally opens, it's at the top. So you just want to ensure that your zipper pull is facing the top of the material. So I'm going to line up my centers. And I use double-sided tape, as I said, so I can just sort of press this into place. I'll use some clips too, but for right here, I don't need to. And you can see it looks like we have about 3/8 of an inch on the sides. You know, keep in mind, this isn't the type of pouch we have to turn. We're just going to stitch down the sides, so you don't have to worry about having a ton of space on the sides. I'm going to take one of my lining pieces. This is waterproof canvas light that I'm using. I'm pretty sure that's right. It feels like it. So I'm going to line that up, and I've marked my centers here. This will not be the exact same width as your exterior. You don't want it to be, because you do not want it to be seen. Remember, this is raw edged, and if you have it on the edge there, well, you'd see it through. I mean, and you just don't want that, obviously. So let me bring this down, my zipper pull down, so it is a little bit narrower. So we're going to stitch basically from the edge to edge here of the lining, not, and really more the zipper tape. Mine is just a little bit longer, but that's okay. You don't need to go all the way to the edge of the vinyl. That's not necessary. So you want to get as close as you can to your zipper tape. And let me see. Well, I'm going to do it from this side. I like to do it when I can. I used to always do it sort of like this, so you had the lining up, but I get closer to the tape if I have the zipper tape facing up. So you can see the zipper tape will be up right here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to clip things though. I don't want things to shift on me. I can still do that even though you've got it all taped. I just need a few clips. Okay. So, and my pull is right here. Great. So I want to try to get, as I said, as close as I can to the zipper tape or teeth. And remember, you don't need to go to the very edge of the vinyl. You're basically just attaching the zipper to it. So you want to be at the edge of the, you know what, take it back. We are going to go this way so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, never mind. We're going to top stitch that. So you could technically change it. You know, as I said, I've been using like a 4.5. I could make this a 5, but I'm going to keep it consistent. So you should also feel pretty much right there that Decaville heavy. You can see, here's the Decaville heavy. I mean, we're not up against it, but when you fold this down, it's going to be pretty close. It's going to give a nice edge there. But I'm going to sort of fold this down, crease the lining. You can sew through the lining for this. It's not a normal pouch, so you can sew through that. And the top stitching, I'm only going to do though from zipper end to zipper end because we are going to be sewing around the entire thing after. Now we're going to do the other side. This is this is when we've got all of this to deal with. So let me take the tape off first. And remember, I'm lining up my centers. This is also the only part between this part of the vinyl and the lining. It's the only time I've snipped centers because it's going to be caught in the top stitching that we'll do. Everything else is raw edge, so I have not snipped centers anywhere. I'm clipping the sides here just to help keep it all together. It's heavy. Well, it's not too heavy, but I mean, you know, it's pulling down. Obviously, the main piece is wanting to pull down, and I don't want it to go down. So I am just clipping the sides to try to keep it all together. So I want to snip a little bit right here. There. Okay. Let's get our lining on. Like before, we are going to sew down as close as we can to the zipper tape. I'll bring that up, see if that helps. 1 second. Okay, had to get myself closer. So yeah, as close as we can to the zipper tape and just on the lining and the zipper tape, not on the vinyl. Now we can top stitch that. And try to crease this down back here first. Sorry. There's a lot to this piece. Ay, ay, ay. Make sure your linings are flat like this. I had one, when I was putting it under, it started to, the new one started to kind of roll up. Don't want to do that. Okay. I was also checking to ensure that that everything looked even, that I had even spacing around here, around here, no, around the zipper teeth. I wanted to ensure everything looked good there. So, okay, 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Great, let's see. Oh, look, that looks so fun. So you can sort of imagine, now, let's put this together. This will come up like this, and then this will go here. Make sure I get everything in. Wow, it'll go in better when there's, when it's sewn together. There we go. So it's starting to come together. So what we need to do now, though, is sew together the pocket. And I have a little smiley face tag I thought I would put inside. I thought that would just be fun. So we're going to clip this all together. Think of it now as doing sort of like our normal pouch. That's going to get, yeah. Okay. I remember Lauren mentioning when she was doing hers, I watched her video, I watched Jenny's video, that, you can't get right up there. There's a little gap, but we are going to sew 1/8 of an inch here, so you are going to effectively be closing that. So don't worry that you're not going to be able to get up all the way on the side with the of the lining. It'll be fine, because we will close it. Just not right now. But I am sort of putting this together the way I would normally do a pouch. I'm pointing my zipper teeth down the way we normally would. So my two, the top, the seams here, where we top stitch, I've got those two together, and then I'm coming here, I'm putting together the lining. So you still want it to look like a normal pouch. So I think what I'm going to do, because I normally would want to go this way, I think I'm going to do it where I'm going to go sort of half at a time. Try to straighten this out. I'm going to go this way up and then this way up. I think it'll be easier to go up into these seams than to go down from these. So I'll put in my tag now too. But that's what I think I'm going to do. It's just going to be easier that way. Okay. So I think you can see I couldn't get all the way up there. There's technically a little hole, but I did stitch that way. I thought that would just be a good thing to help keep it in place. But once we close this all up, we will be top stitching 1/8 of an inch from the vinyl, so it'll be closed up. So I'm going to do it now. I'm flipping it over and doing the other side. So our pocket is done. And so we can flip this now. You can see, now we have a pocket. Here we go. So we open it up. My cute little pocket, and I have a cute little smiley face in there. So I thought, I don't know how well you can see that. Thought that'd be cute. Okay. Now it is time to put this all together. So what we're going to do is basically clip along the edges. Now I watched, as I said, I watched both Lauren's video and Jenny's video. One thing Lauren recommended, she thought might make it easier when we do this stitching, is to tape this down. Now you don't want to put tape too far in because it's going to hinder putting a notebook in eventually. You don't want to block that. But we do want to try to get this to not shift around a lot. And depending on the vinyl you've got, that might definitely be a good idea. We also are going to put on, one sec. Okay, I'm losing things all over the place. But this piece is going to go on here. And then we're going to align this piece here. So you can, I think you get the gist. I'm going to go over, I clearly need to go to my cutting table for this. I'm going to get this all lined up. And then we're going to stitch it from this side. Even though, I mean, you would think you want your nicest stitches to be on this side, we need to be able to see everything here. In the pattern, Jenny has you sew this part down and then this part down separately. You could certainly do that, and because you're going to want to back stitch over these anyway, and that way you don't have any stitches here. But if you want it to be sort of a continuous loop of stitches, then you can just keep going across. But we will want to back stitch on these little spots here because that's where there's going to be stress putting the notebook in. So I'll be right back. I'm going to get this positioned and we'll sew it down. I was wrong. Before we can sew it all together all around, we need to put in some lines here. That's going to create sort of a natural fold. I mean, this is where it's going to fold here to close, and we need some kind of, what's the word we're looking for? Spine. That's the word right here. And so we're going to sew down. There's a line, a measurement that, there we go, Jenny provides. So we're going to start with that, and then you're going to sew a 1/4 of an inch. You're going to do 4 lines, each a 1/4 of an inch apart from each other, but you're going to start with the first line. You just have to draw one. I suppose you could draw 4 if you wanted to, but I'm just going to draw one. So I'm going to go pretty close to the edge. Keep in mind we're going to still do an 1/8 of an inch top stitch around, so you don't have to go all the way to the edge. Now I watched, obviously as I said already, Jenny's and Lauren's, and Lauren, she did one, then did 1 stitch over and up. I just have too much here and not enough table to work with for that. So I am going to do 4 individual rows. We'll have to cut everything on the way, but that's okay. So I'll do another one. Yeah, it's a little cumbersome with all this, but that's okay. If I hadn't already attached, as you can see, I did attach everything already. It would be a little easier. I could curl this all up, but that's okay. Okay. So now you can see, sorry, we've got the 4 right here. And so it just sort of creates, it'll create a natural kind of separation. Once we have something in here, you'll see it a little bit more easily. I guess it's not a spine right there. The spine is still right there, but it's a nice texture. I'm going to snip all those threads, melt them down. I can see things shifted a little here, so I'm going to have to trim stuff up, which is fine. I want everything trimmed as much as I can, at least on this side. I don't want any overhang of the interior on here because I'm going to be top stitching from this side. And so frankly, I could cut this piece, this white off here after, because I'm going to base my 1/8 of an inch on this. If I base my 1/8 of an inch on this, I will miss some of it here on the back. So I'm going to get this back together. Now what I did do, and so you'll know as well, I did decide to put some tape in there. I probably have to redo a little in certain spots just to really help it stay in place. I'll go through and ensure that it's all still pretty good. Not all around, but in key places I put some tape. I will, then after I'm done sewing everything together, I'll still trim everything if I can. But yeah, so let me get this cleaned up and then we'll finish it. I think we're ready. So I did some cleanup. There's still a couple places right here. I'll trim it after. I put some new tape down. So hopefully, oh, let me get the zipper here into the middle. Make sure the zipper's in the middle, just so that you know they're not in the way. Right here is probably going to be close, and that's part of the reason why I wanted this to be able to get as close as possible. So we're going to do 1/8 of an inch from the edge all the way around, including on the parts that don't have any pockets or anything like that. So we're getting close to this pocket over here now. You don't want to sew down on this part here. You'll want to lift that up and only sew down the bottom part of the accordion pocket. So just make sure you've got that put aside. I taped down there. I've got a fair amount of tape all around, so I'll definitely have to clean off my needle when I'm done. It's going to be gummy. And I'm back stitching over both. You might have seen I did on that one there. I did on the edge of right here, because that's where the folder will be going into, and right here on the bottom part, because that's where the pocket is. Okay, let's see how it looks on the other side. It's a little wider here than it is there. It's basically okay. I mean, I guess you'd have to open it up and really look and see. It's close here, but I caught it, and so I'm not going to worry about it. It shifted a little here, I can see, even though I had taped it. It shifted. I don't want to put in a second row of stitches there, so I think that's going to be okay. But let's see how this looks then. So as you can see on the inside, I'll clean this up right here. There's extra there. I'll trim some of that off. There's definitely space on that side. Then it may not look so wide. And it looks good otherwise. So then what you do is you go like this. And there's your notebook. I'll go get a notebook and put it in, but let's take a look at the inside still. So we've got, here's where we'll put in our folder right there. And then we'll just wrap this around. We still have our zipper pocket here and our little slip pocket here. Yeah, I think that looks nice. Here it is. Here it is with the notebook in there. Now, as I will likely have already mentioned in the intro, I had a problem getting the notebook in. I either cut my pieces a little too narrow, or my top stitching around the edge, sewing everything together, was a little too wide, potentially in some places. I'm not sure. I'm sure it was something on my end, because notebooks are consistently are close to the same size. And I saw in both Jenny and Lauren's videos, there's one in without a problem. So I'm sure there's something goofy that I did here. What I might do just to be safe next time is make my piece, and I said this in the intro, the height here 1/8 of an inch taller. That should be more than enough to accommodate those little goof ups. I mean, that's the thing. Maybe you will accidentally sew a little wider on the top and the bottom, and then your notebook won't fit. So having that little bit extra might be good. 1/8, maybe 3/16, just so there's some wiggle room in there. That's really all I needed. It just got tight. So otherwise, this was so fun to put together. I don't know if I would do all of this again. I think the zipper pocket is good, or maybe just a slip pocket and then something a little smaller on the top. But it was fun. It's all fun to put together. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you make this. As I said, it's a super fast sew. If I can get it closed again, there we go. Thanks for watching, and please watch the rest of the videos in today's Marathon Society event. Thanks. Bye.